For the best TV viewing experience, witness the coziest maroons, the most vibrant and brightest moons, the eeriest and darkest tombs, and radiant and vivid hues in any type of room with the Neo QLED and OLED TVs by Samsung. We're supposed to say Samsung, but that didn't rhyme, so you're welcome. Samsung, more wow than ever.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Ladies and gentlemen,
let's get started.
I have thought a lot in the last 24 hours.
Time to get your weekly sports fix.
By the skin of their teeth, they lost.
You know, then you can just ride it the whole thing.
With Stix.
Ooh, I told you it was a work in progress the last week.
Barcot,
what's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there, coming down off of the shaking off the cobwebs a little bit still, so I'm good. Back in action.
I got you.
Back in action. But so for those of you who don't know, Aaron Barcot is a fan of the show, been on here for a while, so appreciate you coming on, brother. We're gonna here talk a little baseball today.
Absolutely. I was just getting some updates just now. They just suspended Buck Showalter and several Mets players for that fight in Philly.
Oh, they suspended them, huh? I didn't see that yet.
Yeah. It just came across my phone as ESPN breaking news on my ESPN app.
ESPN breaking news. Yeah, I definitely want to get into oops. All right, here we go. Yeah, we're gonna get into a lot of baseball, but you know what else, Barcot, is did you see before we get started here, we appreciate you all listening. So thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show on whichever podcast platform you listen to. Check us out here on the YouTube channel as well. Sports Fix with Stix and Anonymous Big Homie. So we got Anonymous Big Homie stand-in today, Mr. Aaron Barcot. But bro, did you see the little NFL news, the D-Hop thing come across?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that was it 6 games for PD.
Yeah, so it's no wonder they made that trade for Hollywood Brown during the draft. So they already knew, bro. They already knew for sure. So and then I'm sure Goodell gave him the heads up it was coming down. Yeah, it's funny because I heard a freaking interview with Cliff Kingsbury, how they were kind of talking to him about the move of getting Hollywood Brown or whatever, and he was like, yeah, we just never have too many receivers with losing people, getting injured and stuff like that. Never have too many receivers, blah 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 blah. Yeah, he kept that under wraps for a little bit, didn't he?
Absolutely, as he should. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, one of our players was suspended" or whatever. So,
right. I mean, it would have given Baltimore even a little bit more to they could have driven up the price a little bit on him if they knew that they were losing somebody like D-Hop for almost half a season.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They would have got a little more out of that, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Real quick too, the Seattle Sounders play in the CONCACAF Cup on Wednesday. I'm not a big soccer fan, but I'm gonna have to maybe tune into that. It's against the Pumas. So winner take all for the big championship. I guess no MLS team or no US team has ever won this CONCACAF Cup. So kind of a big deal for the Sounders to be rolling through, and it's going to be at Lumen Field. So there'll be like 60,000 people there. They opened it all up. So place is going to be popping and rocking down there on a Wednesday evening, 7:30 kickoff, or I don't know what they call it, pitch time or football time. But
if they win that, I'll take some of the sting of the Mariners not winning 100 games away.
I was waiting for it. I knew that was coming. We got a lot of baseball to talk about. Have you watched the NBA playoffs at all?
A little bit, yeah. Yep. I especially watched Brooklyn get eliminated. I did not get to watch much this weekend, but the first round I did. The first couple games, The first games of round 2, I didn't get to pay attention to, but I watched round 1.
Seems like it's the kind of the way it all worked out. The top four seeds in the Eastern Conference and top 4 in the Western Conference. So we'll see how it plays out. I know they had game 1 yesterday for 2 teams, and then what was it? Milwaukee, Boston yesterday, and
Milwaukee Golden State
Memphis.
That win by 1.
Yeah, I actually saw the end of that one. So NBA playoffs in full effect. All right, bro. Well, yeah, let's get into a little baseball. We won't keep everybody waiting because we got to talk a little Mariners, and then have to talk a little Yankees, unfortunately, with my man Aaron Barcot, because I know he's in the Yankee guy. You guys all know he's the Yankee guy. But we got to give a shout out to the Miguel Cabrera. Frick, man, that guy's feels like he's been in the league for 20 years. What did he get? This 3,000 hits. And
I believe he's been around so long that, obviously I'm in your fantasy baseball league. I believe the year I got him, he was a rookie. I think he came in with Mark Teixeira, and obviously not on the same team. Teixeira was in Texas. He was in they were the Florida Marlins at the time. But I believe that's how long he's been around. He's been around so long. Guys that broke in the league with him have been retired for 5 years.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah, and good players like Teixeira, guys like Teixeira that played forever and have been retired 5 years, and that dude's still going. So yeah, he's been around 01, 02. He's pushing 20 years in the league, man.
Yeah, it's gotta be crazy.
Yeah.
Did you? I don't know if I know you've probably seen this, but I thought there were some interesting little stats for the wily old veteran. 3,000 hits, 500 home runs, only 6 players. A-Rod, Palmeiro, Aaron, Will Albert, and then Eddie Murray. So kind of crazy thing there. And then it has a couple other ones like 3,000 hits, 500 home runs, 300 batting average, just Aaron, Pujols, and Miggy. I mean, the guy's in elite company. So definitely be a Hall of Famer once he's all done and said and done with his career, which probably be this way. Oh, I actually had some Buck Showalter notes on here too. That's nice. So what'd you say he got suspended? How many games? I didn't see that yet.
It says the Lopez kid got suspended 3 games because I don't know. I didn't read the whole article, but it did say, because it just came out as we were on the show. So I didn't read the whole thing. I read the opening paragraph on the breaking news. So I don't know how they proved it, but they said that they could prove the Lopez kid through it, Kyle Schwarber. And so he's been suspended 3 games, and Showalter's been suspended, as have some other Mets. So once you get further into the article, we'll give you more. But I only got that opening paragraph as we get on here. So Lopez for sure is out 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think they lead the league in hit by pitches, or lead the all of baseball in hit by pitches.
100%.
So seems like
it's like every game the Mets are getting hit.
Every game there's someone getting drilled and they're getting all hot and fired up. So my guy Buck was Showalter, like I went to bat for him. Early in our when we were talking. Hey, there we go. That's what I'm trying to do. Nice. This technology and I are starting to become friends.
The only Yankee manager in 30 years that couldn't win the big
Yankee
one.
manager. Yeah, he's not on your high priority list, was he?
No. Especially when Joe came in a year later and all we did was add Dwight Gooden and won the World Series.
Well, hey, let's get into some Mariners real quick, just because I know you can't wait to put me on blast here. What do they got? 12-10, start a big series with the Astros tonight. Bro, I was looking at their upcoming schedule for the month of May. This is wild, dude. They got their work cut out for them, and if they're going to get to the 100 wins, like I say, they're going to have a pretty solid month right here. So you got 3 at Houston, and then come home for 4 with Tampa Bay and 3 with Philadelphia, and then go on the road to the Mets for 3, Toronto for 3, at Boston for 4, and then to close out the month at home, 3 against Houston and 3 against Oakland and 3 against Houston. So
now that road trip to Toronto will be big, only because as we just saw with Boston, if you're not vaccinated, you're not going to Canada. So will be interesting
right.
to see how many players are not vaxxed. I know my Yankees are there tonight, but they got the entire roster back, so they're all up there. They're at all hands on deck. So Boston was not. I'm sure Boston will not be the only team that goes to Toronto with and has to leave players behind. But
How many players? How many players didn't get to go to?
I think
from
Boston had to put. I think Boston had to put 3 or 4 on their. I don't know how they did it because you don't put them on the IL, but you have to move them off the roster and bring up people to replace them. So you have your 26-man roster. That was another thing that went into effect this week with the 26-man roster. The Yankees had to drop 2 guys down that had just won a game. The other one had 2 hits in the game, and they had to get dropped so they could get back down to 26 players. But yeah, that was something Boston. I think they had to leave 4 players off the roster and call people up. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I realize it's not a huge thing. It's a 3-game series, but if you've got some young players that you're relying on that aren't backs, that's a big team and a big series to not have everybody there for. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Toronto and Yankees right up there in the top of the AL East, right? So
right.
Those 2 teams, and then you go play when you're another team traveling out of to Toronto to play them. You want your full power and playing against one of the best teams in the 100%. American League for sure. Which it's going to be interesting. But real quick not real quick, but we can talk a little Mariners. Julio Rodriguez finally got his first HR yesterday, so that was pretty dope. Slowly getting that batting average up. He's still only at 234, but damn, no one else on the freaking team besides JP Crawford and Ty France are hitting above 300 anyways, or hitting above what, 280?
Yeah.
Or hitting above 240, I guess. 250.
Yeah, Frazier, right? You got Frazier right at 250.
Yeah, and then of course Tom Murphy is platooning catcher here, but he's at 357. Or
Suarez and Winker are going to be coming around. They're at what? Suarez is at 215. Winker 197 right now. They're both coming around.
Yeah, that's what I like. I still think Winker still hasn't got his first home run yet. Once he gets one, he's hit some good balls. It's just in T-Mobile, I think there was the first home series. He must have hit like 5 that were to the wall, man. And still haven't lost. I'm not going to lose faith in him. It's early in the season. Those 2 will definitely come around and start getting some pop. And then still don't know about Kelenic, man. I still don't know. I mean, he has some good plate appearances and then some other ones that just aren't very pretty. So we'll see what happens there. But is what's a little bit concerning for me, Barcot, and I know you're going to have something to say about this, is the pitching
injury. I thought you were going to bring up the Haniger injury.
Dude, I forgot. I almost skipped right over him here. Yeah, I forgot about Haniger. Comes back off the COVID IL or whatever, and then first plate appearance gets a hit, but twists his ankle or hurts his ankle, so now he's back on the 10-day DL.
I believe, man, that guy. I don't know that. I don't know how long it's certainly not going to be like a half a season thing, but they did say he'd be out a while. It's not going to. So it sounds like it might
more
be
than 10.
Yeah, it sounds like it might be a high ankle sprain. So again, not we're not talking like August by any means, but he might be missing most of May kind of thing because it might be a high ankle sprain.
Man, that guy can't catch a freaking break.
He's had every injury. He's even had just some, the crazy one that ended his season a couple of years back that made it iffy if he was ever going to play again. He's had when he plays, he's productive. I mean, when that man plays, he is productive. But when he gets hurt, he gets hurt. He's not that guy that's got like injuries. He's got the stuff that's going to, he needs another 2 weeks to get himself back in the, baseball form after he's done. He's been out so long, every time he gets hurt.
Yeah, that's usually what happens to him. So, hopefully he'll be back if it's going to take that month and these guys can start. I mean, like I said, this whole month is going to be pretty big series that they need to win a lot of these series and just stay atop to get to that 100. What was the over under on those guys? I can't remember. It was 83 and a half on the Mariners.
They were way low this year. They dropped this year. Last year, they won 92?
Yeah, 90. Yeah, 90.
Okay, and so I was surprised when we had that conversation that they had an over under of 83 after some major additions. I thought they had a great offseason. That's why I told you I thought probably over on 90 this year. I wasn't riding or dying with a 100, but I did.
Well,
I did think that.
I do.
I do think the Mariners are a 92 win team if they get everything together. However long Haniger's out, that's going to be huge for him. France has been just gigantic for that team right now. 330 plus batting average. He's already got 21 ribbies. I mean, he's been fantastic for them right now. So he's really carried a lot of weight.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Well, you and Homie both liked the Angels in our preview show that we did.
Right.
Those guys, they ain't messing around up there. I think Shohei's missed today's game. He might miss tomorrow's game too. He's got I think he's got an ankle injury also. But,
and they said his next start on the mound is probably up in the air.
Going to be a miss maybe. So we talked about them being healthy, and just with Trout healthy, Shohei healthy. I mean, you got Rendon, they're leading the AL West right now. So, see how that goes.
Trout up until today was just tearing the cover off the ball.
Oh, dude, he was.
They got shut out. They got shut out. I think he had 2 or 3 strikeouts. But man, he came in, hit like 350 with 6 or 7 home runs. I mean, he was killing it.
Yeah, he was getting. That's the guy when he gets on fire, he's on fire. Like, speaking of being on fire, like your boy Aaron Judge and those Yankees, man, 9 out of 10, 9-1 in their last 10, so 9 in a row.
9 in a row. Yeah.
And they've won 9 in a row.
Yeah, and the pitching staff has been shockingly amazing. I didn't know that they would be this good, but I mean, even Garrett Cole's got it back down to 3-run ERA. I think our boy Luis Severino is at 3.80. That's the highest ERA in the staff. They've got Montgomery going tonight. They're already in the 3rd inning in Toronto to score this game. So the Yankees, 22 games in, are already plus 41 on run differential.
Yo, I was looking at
62 runs in 22 games or something like that.
That's crazy. And then I think that a lot of that run differential just came over in the last 5, 6, 7 days too, because I know the Mariners were top. I think they were about plus 20, or they were plus maybe it was plus 14, before the last week. If I could find it, I'd pull it up. Well, I think they're at plus 18 now, maybe.
Right.
But
you're right, because the Yankees had a lot of close games early. Lately, it's been, that IKF, man, he's been a huge pickup for us. I don't know why Minnesota flipped into us. They got him from Texas and then flipped him to us right before spring training. He got a double tonight. He's hitting well over 300. I mean, he's been huge for us.
Who was that again?
IKF. I can't pronounce the man's name.
Kind of Falefa.
Falefa, yep.
Yeah. So, man, what was the oh shit, what happened here? I was going to find.
They're also, by the way, this is not your daddy's Yankees. It's their pitching staff and their defense. They're the number 1 defensive rated unit in the league. So it's not been the usual where they have 5 guys on pace for 40 home runs and just mashing them off. They've been fielding it. They're the number 1 defensive rated team, and their pitching staff leads the league in ERA. So they're doing it in ways that teams are supposed to do it to win, not the ways the Yankees traditionally do it, where they just mash the ball and have a 4.5 run ERA.
Right. So they're actually getting some pitching out of it. Well, yeah. I think, man, I can't. I know I was texting you back and forth, making fun of Cole after his first 3 starts, had a 6 ERA or something crazy like that. but
right.
you know, the back in the day, and that's how everybody, like you said, not the old Yankees of old, how they would just, you know, give up 5 runs but score 12 or whatever.
Right,
You know, I think that
100%.
they're playing all aspects of the game. And, you know, quite frankly, I'm a little bit surprised that, you know, that they got past the Orioles the second time, because then they play them first early.
Lost 2 out of 3. That's 2 of their 6 losses.
Yeah, 2 of their 6 are to them, and then they mashed up on Cleveland and Baltimore and the Royals their last 9-game part of this 9-game winning streak. So speaking of winning streaks, well, the freaking Mariners need to go on one tonight, like I said, with playing at Houston. And like you always, like you were saying, Barcott, you ain't wrong. You got to go like beat up on your division and make sure you take care of those teams when they play 18, 19 games against each other. So tonight's going to be a good starting point for this next month, because Marco's coming off his hand injury. I forgot to talk about this. Coming off that hand injury, excuse me, that he sustained last week on that line drive, starting tonight. So we'll see. I wasn't really impressed with his 83-mile-an-hour cutter the last few starts that gets hit 9 miles, but we'll see how tonight goes, especially against Houston. And I know Altuve's back. He's missed like 12 games. So, you know, they're at 500, and man, I don't know. I know what else I want to say too. Have you seen any of that kid, that Matt Brash kid starts at all?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Gosh, if that kid could find the strike zone, man, he has some good stuff and throwing real
He
well.
does. No, he does. He's got the ball comes out of his hand very well. It's an alive pitch.
Yeah. And it's just
so easy. It's so easy for him.
Very easy.
It's kind of like, I always say this with hitters, so people can understand what we're talking about with easy, that may not know a lot about baseball. I could tell, as probably you could, when you watch an Aaron Judge swing as opposed to a Bellinger and a Yelich. Those guys have to put so much tremendous torque that it was not a shock that they've been hurt so much the last couple of years. And a pitcher who can just have the ball fly out of his hand, you know, that's a guy that's not going to have a lot of elbow injuries or shoulder injuries, because it's just electric. It's natural. He's not torquing himself. He's not having to like do weird things with the you know, where
no extra energy, no extra motion,
it just flies. And it's electric out of his hand. You know, if he can get it down to just throwing strikes, yeah, he'll be because that stuff, it comes out of his hand beautifully. He's going to be a stud, no question.
Yeah, I just hope he can find the freaking strike zone a little more and leave it. I mean, it's not like he's just missing either. I mean, he'll miss, you know, 2-3 inches up or 2-3 inches out with that fastball, but his fastball is lovely. And but how about Logan Gilbert though? What has he got, like a 0.6 ERA now?
Something ridiculous like that. Yeah. Absolutely. Did he just shut somebody up? Yeah. He just shut somebody else out in his last start?
That was the win they got in Miami. I think he went 7 and probably only gave up 1 run. I think
1 or 2
runs.
Okay.
Yeah. So he did get the dub. So that was solid. But yeah, I had to give some love to the Mariners pitching staff. I just hope Robbie Ray comes around a little bit. I just don't know. I mean, every start I've seen of his, he just doesn't seem like he seems like he's missing on some of those pitches too. Like leaving it now, he's not missing the strike zone. He's just leaving them in the strike zone, missing his spots a little bit, which kind of, you know, is a little alarming for a Cy Young Award winner that just came off, signed that new contract. So I want to see him produce a little more here and see what happens. So he'll bounce back too, just like you said, with Eugenio and Winker.
I think the big piece is it was that abbreviated spring training. They didn't get, and it's not the game where we know starters don't get a lot of innings in spring training. It's the off day bullpen sessions. They didn't get, with the abbreviated spring training, they didn't get the work in that they normally get when the spring training. So a lot of these guys, they're, like he said, he's not missing the strike zone, but he's leaving stuff hanging because they're not getting that break they need, or maybe they're not finding their spots, or they're overthrowing the slider or what have you, because they didn't get the extra. They might have missed 3 bullpen sessions during spring training because it was abbreviated. They cut a couple of weeks out of spring training.
That's right. Yeah.
And so even though starters don't get a lot of innings on the mound during spring training, it's that off day work where they go work on their stuff and build up the stamina. So that's where I think a lot of these guys are missing right now. I think it'll turn around in May, June. But the first month, they're really still trying to figure things out. Usually in April, they're trying to get stamina built up. Now they're trying to get stamina and a feel, because I lost a couple bullpen sessions with the abbreviated spring. So I'm not shocked by it, but he'll figure it out. Just like, Cole looked like doo-doo for 3 starts, and he's figured it out.
Yeah, he did. He was struggling there too. So you're right. I think you're 100% correct on that. How it's just getting back into the flow of the game there, get your bullpens in, get the work in, and get your arm strength up there, and see what happens. Any of these teams, I know, Barcot, you were talking earlier on the preview show with Homie, and we were talking a few weeks ago before the season started about the Chicago White Sox and their pitching staff. Any other teams out here that surprise you or have surprised you besides the Cincinnati Reds only winning 3 games right now? My boy, poor John Sandlin. I'm sorry, man. Your team.
I know the Marlins lost yesterday and they're losing again today, but 12-9 coming out the gate. I mean, they really have fixed that organization. I mean, again, they're probably going to win 85 games, but just think about that. The Marlins could win 85 games and not have an exorbitant payroll, or not have a bunch of guys that are about to be big name free agents that are going to have to go out and, the Marlins are going to have to let them go or trade them because they're about to hit a $200 million contract. This is just a bunch of young kids that are just playing well. It's not that, they've got a Stanton coming up, they're going to have to let him go because they can't re-sign him. They're going to have to let this kid go because they can't re-sign him. This is not a team that's going to win 85 games and then have a fire sale in 2 years. This is a team that's going to win 80, 85 games this year, probably 90, 92 next year. And then they're going to be ready to take off because they're all young kids, and none of them is such a huge superstar that the Marlins got to worry about a gigantic contract coming up on any of them. They're just solid baseball players. And so at 12-9, I know they made the playoffs during COVID, but I also like to call that the Dodger, asterisk World Series. Remember Kershaw was lights out. Well, part of the reason he was lights out is because by the time the playoffs started, that's just where he's normally starting to take off. And then his arm burns out on him in August. Well, he hits that 60-game mark. That's about where he gets hot for like 3 weeks. And that's exactly what happened that postseason. And then we saw Kershaw turn back to, Kershaw again last year. We went back to 162 games. And all of a sudden he was, absent in late summer, the dog days of August. He was gone. And so,
yes, he was.
So I do think that even though they had that COVID, so to speak, playoff appearance, for the Marlins a couple of years back, I do think that team has shocked me. I mean, they're 12-9 even after a loss yesterday. They're pitching well. They've got a guy who's got a sub 1 ERA as well. He might be up to like 1 now, but his first few starts, he was like .065 or something like that. The Mariners touched up Alcantara. And then the Mariners touched up the Alcantara yesterday a little bit. He had a sub 1 run ERA. So. But yeah, I mean, the Marlins have shocked. They have shocked.
Yeah, that's a good call. I like that too. They are there as well. What was I just looking at? I mean, do you think, back to the AL East real quick? Do you think the Rays, like I've talked about this for the last 2 years about how I hate the opener, quote unquote, right? And I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays are the ones who invented this. I swear, 2 years ago when they started doing that, and they're still doing it this year. I mean, can they contain this throughout the whole season doing that? I mean,
I don't know, man. Didn't they have a combined no-hitter, but it was scoreless, so they went in the 10th inning and lost? But I think against Boston, they had a combined no-hitter.
That was them, yeah.
So it's they've done it. They've been successful with it for years. I'm just shocked that they're, and again, we're 25 games in. Some teams not even there. To be where they're at basically 500 surprises me. It really does, because they traded. When you look at that again, you go back to the COVID short season. I don't know that most of that Tampa Bay Rays team is there anymore. Their shortstop Adames is gone. He's in Milwaukee. Snell's obviously gone. Meadows is gone. almost that entire roster, except for the young man that hit 10 home runs that playoff run, almost that entire starting roster from 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, even your boy, the catcher from Seattle that could never hit 200, but would hit 30 home runs.
Yeah.
I think he's actually out of a job right now, unless he's signed a minor league contract. They let him go. And so
no, he's still there. He's still there. He's doing some pop.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was actually getting some hits there. But yeah, they got Zanino, then they got, Wander Franco wasn't there. I think, did they call him up for that COVID season? I'm not no, I don't think so.
No, that was the other kid. That was the other kid, the outfielder. Yeah,
Rosarina, yeah. So those,
you are right. By the way, Zanino is back. He's not getting hits, by the way. 4 for 43.
Oh, he's 4 for 43?
4 for 43 with a home run. So a guy that's not.
Oh, he only has one. I thought he had like 3 or 4 home runs. I must have been thinking about last year.
He's only got 4 hits.
One of them's a
home run. That's my point. Is he doesn't hit a lot, but when he does, he's gonna drive it. But yeah, that team, the Angels, I thought they'd be good. I'm a little surprised at how good they actually are. Like I thought, again, obviously, I thought they'd win more than 92. But to come out as up until today, they lost today. But I mean, they've been one of the top 3 or 4 records in baseball, And so I'm a little not as surprised by them as I am with the Marlins, but they do shock me how well they're playing. I do think that the Mariners, man, because we talked about that, and I think I texted you when Tampa Bay won 100 games last year, and we talked about this the last time I was on the show. You got to beat up on the dredges of your conference. And Tampa Bay did go 18-1 against Baltimore last year. So that was a 17 games above 500 right there for them. And so Seattle, if they're going to get up to that 95 to 100 win total, they've got to beat up on an Oakland. They've got to take advantage of an Astros team.
Texas.
Outside of it, Justin Verlander's not as good as they've been. Exactly. The Rangers, who we talked about last time, spent $500 million in all the wrong places. So, I mean, they've got to. They're not going to go 17-1 against the Anaheim Angels, but they're going to have to find a way to go 30 games above 500 between Texas, Oakland, and Houston. So that that makes do that.
Yeah, that makes 100% sense for sure. And to make it happen and to be a playoff team, they're going to have to do that because they're going to have to contend with. Looks like, obviously New York, Toronto, and seems like Tampa Bay. And then, we're like you said, we're only 20 to 25 games in. But, Minnesota, you guys called that. I think you and Homie might have said that.
Because Chicago's pitching is bad. And Dallas Keuchel, remember, I joked last time that I was shocked he was still in the league. And 2 weeks ago, fantasy. Keuchel 2 weeks ago, I picked him up to put in my rotation for a game. That's the game he went 1 inning and gave up 8 earned runs. I mean,
you dropped him right away, right after that.
Right away,
before he could even finish the start. You're like, drop.
Yeah, he's like, I'm dropping. It's effective, tomorrow morning when this is done. But that's where they're at. I think the Gelato kid is back, but they're still,
and they got that. I mean, they got Dylan Cease and Giolito or whatever, but Giolito was on the shelf for a minute.
Yeah, and then obviously Rondon is gone to San Francisco. So, and that you talk about a team that's pieced it together. The Giants, my goodness, how they pieced that thing together yet again. I thought last year was smoke and mirrors, and they're right back up there with the Dodgers again this year.
Yeah, and that whole AL West, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Giants, and even Colorado right now, early in the season, only 1.5 back. So, and this is going to kind of like one of those football divisions that we talked about. They beat up on each other and, play them twice in football. You play these guys, 18 times, like you've referenced, Barcot, that, Giants, Padres, Dodgers, Colorado. I mean, they're all gonna, just like last year, right? They all held their own destiny in their hands when the Dodgers and the Giants came down to the final week of the season and played each other. So
100%.
But yeah, the Giants are a little surprising too, because nobody expected them to be anywhere, in that vicinity after, not really making any moves, right?
And let me say this, another team, and they're not great. I mean, they just got swept by the Yankees. But Baltimore's 18-14. They're 18-14 from a team that lost 100 games last year. And then I look at them up. They're only negative 22 on run differential. Now, I know people are going to laugh at that and go, well, that's negative 22 this early. But you're 8-14 and you're competing.
Right.
Like, you've played 22 games and you've only been outscored by basically a run a game. They're not.
And a lot of that came from the Yankee series, right?
Yeah. And I mean, they were a team that was like below 500, obviously, but right around 8 or 9 runs below, the negative run differential. And my point is they've made huge strides. I'm not suggesting Baltimore's getting out of the cellar in the AL East, but they're not that 52 and 110 joke. Remember, there was 2 years in a row where the Judge year where he hit 52, I think he had 16 home runs against Baltimore. The next year when Torres hit 38 home runs, he had 12 or 13 against Baltimore. They're not, and they gave up like the most home runs in the history of baseball as a pitching staff. They're not that team anymore. They're not. I'm not suggesting they're a playoff team by any stretch.
Right.
Yeah. In the AL East, but you can see they're not that team that, hey, Baltimore's on the schedule. We're just going to go score 40 runs in this 3-game series. That's not what's going to happen anymore. They make you compete now. And again, they're a half game behind Boston right now. They're only a half game behind the Red Sox. They're making strides. And they're not even the worst team in the American League. I mean, they're making strides. So that, again, it's not a Marlins team that's 12-9 that shocks me, but Baltimore's getting better. They're not that just zoo of a team.
Yeah, I mean, they got the same record as the Texas Rangers, who spent $300 million or whatever on 2 players. So, that's just something very interesting to go off of for sure.
And who's also shocked me a little bit, and then I'll let you go, but Detroit last year. Detroit was like 10 games under 500, 8 games under 500. They're 7-14 out the gate, man.
What is going on with them? I picked them as my playoff team.
Yeah.
One of my playoff teams. So
they weren't bad coming out last year, and that Central is not tough. So I thought, okay, you're, almost, you're what, 75 and whatever, 76 and whatever. You're right there in a bad division. They've come out terrible. Now again, it's 7 games under, but it's a .333 winning percentage. You've got to. Something's going on there, and they spent money this year too. They went out and got Eduardo Rodriguez. They tried to go out and get Correa. They've made strides.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
This is the NHL Minute, brought to you by the Dr. Hockey Podcast. I'm Dr. Jay Calvert, and I'm on with Dr. Jason Berkeley. Jason, what's going on with these playoffs?
Well, the playoffs start on May 2nd, and the East has a really interesting matchup with Toronto playing Tampa. I'm sorry, Toronto. I don't know if you could have gotten a worse matchup in the first round, but Tampa's going to be really tough. We'll have to see how that pans out.
And in the West, we're going to see if the LA Kings can find a way to return to their glory of the 2 cups in the past by somehow locking it down and upsetting the Edmonton Oilers. A lot of firepower on that Oilers first line. It's going to be a very tough series.
And also in the West, the Avs start off against the Predators, and I don't know, unleash the Avs because they're just raring to go, and I feel bad for every one of those Predators players.
Well, it's going to be a great round of playoffs. Stay tuned to the Dr. Hockey Podcast. And we will bring you more. And thanks for listening to the NHL Minute.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
What I say about me and technology, we were starting to get along. Yeah, we're not getting along right now. Detroit. All right. Yeah, let's see what they got going on here. Oh, that Tariq Skubal, Pineda. Yeah, Rodriguez. That's right. But they got Casey Mize, the one that kid.
Michael Pineda is still in Major League Baseball.
He's still in Major League Baseball. So, but 2 of their guys are on the shelf right now, it looks like. So, yeah, I don't know. They need to figure out some pitching in there to get them back rolling.
Hey, speaking of one that was a Yankee Mariner connection, the Mets DFA and Cano today, and they still owe him $33 million. They literally just said, go ahead, take the $33 million, take a walk. I didn't know until I looked him up. As quiet as he's been, he's still a career 300 hitter. I think he's 302 for his career with 335.
Career 302?
302 with a career 335, 335 home runs and over 1,300 RBIs. So, I mean, that's a guy that we're not talking Hall of Fame numbers, but if he can find a way to hold on for like 3 or 4 more years, you're looking at 400 home runs, 1,500 RBIs, 300 batting average, which has got to put him up around 2,500 hits at that point in time. I mean, that's a guy that's.
How many hits away from 3,000 was he, or is he?
Well, let's look him up right now.
I was gonna say, because he was one of those guys they were talking about trying to get to 3,000, or had a chance, right? Because he's been in the league for so long. Let's see if it tells me.
I'm looking it up right now. He is at 2-0. Actually, he's not far off. 335 home runs, 302 batting average, 2,632 hits. He's literally 300 hits away, 368 hits away from being a Hall of Famer. 368 hits. Because he's already got 1,300 RBIs. He's already got 300 plus home runs. He's already got a 300 batting average. He's over 2,600 base hits.
Yeah.
He's a guy that if he can find a way to get, part-time player. Can I be a part-time player, get 80 hits here, 80 hits there?
Yeah, I mean, he can go anywhere right now and be a DH, right? I mean, in the National League, I mean.
Anywhere. Absolutely.
So now it's opened up. It gives him more of an opportunity.
Because the DFA, he'll sign any contract you give him because the Mets are going to give him $40 million. He'll sign the veteran minimum. He'll take the veteran minimum of like $8 million. So, and I know that's a lot of money, but that's the minimum for a veteran. That's the cheapest you can go as a team. So you're going to sign him or you're going to sign some other Joe Blow. Either way, if they're both veterans, they're both $8 million. He'll take it because he's already getting $40 million this year from the Mets. Yeah, I could absolutely see him going to. Can you imagine the Texas Rangers giving a flyer on him? And only need because he's had double-digit home runs the last 3 years. Even in a COVID year, he had 10. I mean, he's a guy that can still produce, and he only needs 360 hits. He's got 3,000 now. He's got that stain of PEDs.
I was just gonna say he's gonna be even if he could get there. I mean, he's pretty much tainted by now. I mean, after he already got suspended the first time for 80 games, and the second time for the whole season. I mean, he missed out on the whole season there.
He has been popped twice. He's been popped twice. So you do have to still look at can he get who would have thought? Let's just think about that. Who would have thought Robbie Cano would be this close to 3,000 hits? And my point is this: Robinson Cano has never been a dominant player. He's never been A-Rod. He's never been that guy that you put on the pedestal and just say, a Mike Trout. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's never even 2,600 hits. He's never been Fernando Tatis Jr. I don't know that he's been better than Fernando Tatis Sr. in terms of the way he was spoken about, and yet he's on the cusp of 3,000 hits. It's got to be the quietest 3,000 hits I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, but yeah, that was
no one talks about it.
Yeah, that was when I saw that earlier too. I wrote that down. I was gonna almost forgot to talk about it. I'm glad you brought that up because that was an interesting conversation. Because, like you said, 100%. I mean, he can go anywhere and get paid the minimum, and someone has to take a flyer on him. I mean, I was listening earlier on the MLB Network, and they were talking about I think they said DHs around the league are hitting less than, well, the whole league's like batting average is like 230, but like DHs are like well below 230. A couple teams had some like first base issues. I think Boston was one of them that they referenced. Like their Boston's first basemen are hitting like 111. So something crazy like that. So I mean,
we know Tampa Bay's catcher's hitting 043 or something like that.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's
4 base hits on the year. But you know what? That's an example right there where you've got Boston first baseman hitting 111. Zunino 4 for 43, and he's starting tonight for Tampa Bay. So my point is, I'm piggybacking what you just said. I think Cano's still hitting 190 this year, which I know is terrible. But when the league average is 230, and you're still having teams that were in the playoffs a year ago rolling out guys that are 4 for 43, you're going to tell me a non-playoff team like the Pittsburgh Pirates or somebody can't take a flyer? Cincinnati has 3 wins. They can't take a flyer on Cano. I mean, right. even Joey Votto, who has been a fantastic player, has been terrible this year. I mean, they've all been bad in Cincinnati. Like, you're telling me they won't take a flyer on a guy that's about to get 3,000 hits and 460 home runs short of 400, and he's a left-handed bat and they got a small park? Why not? I mean, he just hit 10 home runs as a part-time player last year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long it'll take for someone to pick him up. I'd say that someone would have to probably do it, or someone should probably do it in like a week, less than a week, you would think. I mean, if he got DFA'd today and, however that process works or whatever.
It's amazing. It's amazing how many of these players that just a few years ago were big names and are nobody. Miguel Sano, remember, he was in that home run derby, had all that power with the Twins when Aaron Judge hit 52 home runs that year. Sano started this year off 0 for 19 with 12 Ks and has become just a role player in Minnesota. He's hurt and they put him on the 10-day IL today, but he's become a role player in Minnesota. 5 years ago, that guy was a 40 home run hitter at like 25 years old. And we were talking about how massive he was. And, could he be another, Frank Thomas-esque guy? He wasn't going to hit 300 like Frank Thomas, but could hit 40 home runs routinely if you put him at the DH. And now he's like, whatever. He's going to hit 190.
Getting that injury prone going, and couldn't see how long he lasts after he comes back, or if he comes back. I mean, he's a big boy too. So I couldn't think of the other guy I can't remember. Someone else I was thinking of too, but shit. What's your?
Oh, I just talked about Gleyber Torres, a 2-run bomb. Yankees up 2-0 on Toronto. Look at the win number 10.
Ooh, what inning? It's got to be early, right? 3?
Top four. Yep.
Ooh,
Yankees got 5. By the way, the Yankees, here's how they've changed who they are. Aaron Judge tried to lay down a bunt with runners at first and third earlier in the game. They tried to have Aaron Judge lay down a bunt. That's how much they've gotten away from swinging for the fences. They literally said, Aaron Judge, 8 home runs. You hit 2 yesterday. Runners at first and third, 1 out. They tried to get him to lay down a bunt. He felt miserable. He felt miserable. But they literally called for that man to bunt today. And we're not talking about a guy who's a home run hitter who's in a slump. He just hit 2 bombs yesterday. He's hitting over 300 on the year. And they tried to have him bunt today. That's where they've begun to change their philosophy. They're willing to do whatever they got to do to score runs.
They want to get back into that championship talk, man.
They do. They got IKF out there playing shortstop with no home runs. When's the last time a Yankee starter almost 30 games into the season had 0 home runs? We start this guy every day. He doesn't hit home runs. When's the last time the Yankees did that? They got 2 catchers and a shortstop. 2 catchers split time and a shortstop. Those 3 guys have 0 home runs combined. And that's what they are, which I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at all. I mean, they're starting to buy into, hey man, we got to lay down a bunt. We got to advance the runner. We got to hit a sack fly. We can't have 5 guys trying to swing for 50 home runs a year. So I'm excited about
it. Gonna play some team baseball, baby.
Absolutely.
Old school. Hey, let's close it out with a little discussion. I want to know your thoughts and hear my thoughts on the robo strike zone or whatever that we talked about a couple weeks ago too. I think we might have touched on it a little bit. Obviously as a Mariners fan, I've seen Julio get jabbed a lot already in the first couple weeks. I know the Mariners sent a letter to the MLB office saying, these are the pitches and this is it is or whatever. And so people were talking about the auto strike zone again, which we all know it's already like in all the levels of baseball, right? AAA and everything like that. So, there's probably only a matter of time, but I say no auto strike zone. I don't like it at all. I think it makes sense in a way, but I don't like it. I'd like to see the real aspect of the game played. So I saw this from Ben Verlander, brother of Justin Verlander on Fox Sports, and he mentioned something about using an appeal system. I don't know if you've heard about this at all, Barcot, but so the player can appeal a ball or a strike, and then if they're wrong, they lose the appeal for the rest of the game. If they're right, they get like another appeal, like a challenge in football, I guess, right? So that kind of seems like maybe a way, but then I didn't understand it. I read through it. I didn't really see if that had something to do, if a pitcher could do that too. And they were talking about the speed of the game and how if it would,
I hate that. That's where baseball.
That's just too much going on.
I hate the conversation about the speed of the game because that's all. See, that's the problem is that baseball has bought into speed of the game. That's not what baseball. Any industry that is successful understands you are who you are. Baseball's not meant to be a fast sport. Look at soccer. Soccer, we don't even know when the game is going to end in soccer because you don't know how much extra
you got
time.
Extra time.
But guess what? No one complains because they've bought into who they are and they've sold their sport internationally for what it is. And they've done a fantastic job with it. Baseball is making the mistake of trying to buy into the hype of, let's become ADHD. How do we speed the game up and get everybody's interest? Hey, bro, you have everybody's interest in June, July, and August because football ain't playing, baseball's wrapped up, and hockey's done. You have 90 straight days where half your season is everybody's 100% full attention because there's nothing else going on. Granted, you're never going to pull the numbers the NFL is going to pull. You're just not. You're not. The NBA's got its own issues going on. The NBA's got to deal with this whole, rest thing that's starting to lose numbers because stars are taking too much time off, and now they look sloppy in the playoffs. Baseball has to own what it is. We can't speed the game up. Now, can we do things to create more offense? Absolutely. But you have to institute rules to allow more run production, like the automatic base runner on second base in the extra innings, for example. But you also have to understand that
which is going away after this year. So,
which I think it shouldn't. It shouldn't because
you like that a little bit.
I do, and here's what I do like about it: the pitchers can't complain because it's not an inherited runner, so it doesn't go on your ERA.
Okay.
Jonathan Guizica last year lost 3 games in the 10th inning. He had a game he lost. He threw 4 pitches. They were all strikes. Runner at second. He had a ground ball to second. Runner advanced to third. 2 pitches later, fly ball to center. Runner scored.
Game over.
3 or 4 pitches. Game over. Doesn't go on your ERA because it's an inherited runner. You don't. That ERA is that run's not yours. So they can still go out and negotiate contracts with. For him, he lost 3 games. Well, I don't have those 3 earned runs on my ERA. And one of those games, at least he could throw the tape out. Bro, I got what you wanted. Ground ball to second, pop fly to center. Yep. What do you want me to do? It's not my fault as a runner at second base when I walked out there. So I like it because it does add some, you have to make decisions as a manager. What are we going to do defensively right now? And what are we going to do with our pitching staff? You're not going to throw Joe Schmuck who just called up from Double-A with a good team that you're trying to catch in the standings, and they got an automatic runner in scoring position to start the 10th inning. You're not going to throw that kid out there. So I like that one, and it doesn't hurt the pitcher's ERA. They don't get punished for it. But baseball has to own what baseball is. I don't want computers telling me balls and strikes. I love Kyle Schwarber going off on an umpire. Now, I realize you got to get tossed for it. I get it. But that's part of the game. And I wish baseball would adopt what they are and just understand, hey, listen, right now in May, we're not the show. Well, you don't want to be the show. You're starting. Shit, most of your pitchers aren't even going into the 7th inning yet. You're just at the beginning of the year. Let NBA go out and dominate with the playoffs. But in 6 weeks, bro, you're the show for the next 90 days. Why do you need to change what you do? No one cares. The NFL draft is done. The NFL free agency is done. Basketball's done. You get to own June 15th, September 1. You get to own that shit. Now, if you can't sell it and you can't make strides, that's on you. But don't change the game when you're the one sport that gets 2.5 months by itself. The NBA and football, they don't get 2.5 months by themselves because the NBA kicks off, they tip off in October. The NFL only gets 4 weeks before the NBA kicks in. So baseball, you're the only sport that gets 10 weeks to do what it wants to do. That's on you that you can't sell tickets, bro. Shit, Oakland had 3,500 people the other night. 3,500 people. Hey, I'm not lying. We have the high A Angels. So we're one step below Double-A here in the Tri-Cities. We average over 4,000 fans. We sell more tickets in Pasco for the Angels high A minor league team than Oakland sells for their major league team.
Yeah.
Like, that's your fault, not mine.
I mean, I'm 100% agree with you. Baseball, needs to own it better. And a homie and I have talked about that too, about, what they need to do and how they can be better at it. And really, what's the difference between what's the average? I don't know what the average game time is this year, like 3 hours. Let's just say 3 hours. What's the difference between 2:45 and 3:15? I mean, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there.
By the way, baseball, how much does commercial breaks, which I know you have to do. I know you have to do to make money for yourself and for the individual teams that are selling airtime themselves on the radio stations or TV stations, like the Mariners when they sell time on Root Sports or SWX. That's they get some of that money. I get that, but if it's 3:15, how much airtime are you selling to add to that 3:15? Can you take a minute off of every commercial break? You know what I'm saying? The pitcher only gets 8 warm-up pitches. Does he need 5-minute commercials?
Right. How much time? That makes a lot of sense. I agree with you 100%. And you know what else too is you just said the commercial breaks and what the hell was I gonna say? Damn it. And the game time. But we were talking about how they want runs and more runs scored by doing this with the balls and all that.
Right.
When the game goes longer, obviously a lot of it is when there's more action that they want and a lot more runs scored. Okay. So you got to pick your poison. I mean, if you're going to try to, and I know we've talked about this before, for the last couple of years, a couple times, but taking, like you said, a minute off the commercial to get the game moving is the way to go. Not trying to just say that a robot strike zone is going to change that, or not letting a team not letting a batter step out of the batter's box for 20 seconds and get called out, or whatever that rule is that they're doing in like low A ball or low minor league level. I've seen a couple of those videos where the dude steps out of the batter's box and all of a sudden he gets a strike called on him or whatever. That's not going to speed up the game. And plus, don't you want your athletes to be comfortable and be able to, as a hitter, you want to be able to I mean, I get it. There's the Nomar Garcia Parra thing where he did his wrists, gloves and all that. And,
modesty,
everybody has their own little thing, but yeah, I mean, it's just, what's the difference between, in my opinion, what's the difference between 2 hours, 45 minutes and 3 hours, 15 minutes on a typical game?
And if we cut out a minute in every commercial break, and we're not even talking about pitching changes, just between innings, that's a half inning. When we transition from the bottom of the first, top of the first, bottom of the first, top of the bottom of the first, top of the second. You take 1 minute off, you've cut 17 minutes off that 3 hour and 15 minutes. You're down to 2 hours and 58 minutes. You know, I mean, you've already saved it. What is a robot strike zone is not speeding this up. It's just not even going to do it. So, but I hear you, brother. I hear you.
I guess I just don't. I guess I disagree with the runner on second base. I don't like that. Which I'm glad you said it. Like we said, it's going away next year. You know, they did do the 9 inning double headers now again this year. They don't have the 7. So
I hated and what I hated with the 7 inning one was, and this is where baseball doesn't get it. You make double header 7 innings, and we had this happen last year. Somebody throws a no-hitter. I believe Arizona threw a no-hitter and a one-hitter back-to-back in a doubleheader. And then you don't call it a no-hitter because it wasn't 9 innings. Wait a minute. You changed the rules.
Right.
Then you should have been, forethought enough to think, well, what happens if we say a game's are 7 innings in a doubleheader and somebody throws a no-no? Well, that's got to be a no-no. You just got to say,
Homie and I had that discussion. I know we did about that too. You might have been on there as well. Didn't we talk? I know we talked about that. It was like, they're going to do 7 innings and it has to be a no-hitter. I think we were all agreeing that it was a no-hitter. I mean, that's what they changed. They personally changed the rules themselves to
then you
accommodate
have to change
the game.
The standard. Right.
Then you change
You're going to change
100%.
the rules and change the standard.
That was dumb.
That's where baseball just doesn't get it. That's where they make those mistakes. And it's like the sticky thing last year where we're going to start suspending people in the middle of the season. Whoa, brother, that was not a rule in March.
Right.
That's not
100%.
a rule in March. Now, if you want to make it a rule today, and people forget, when the NFL started drug testing, the NFL said it like this. We don't care what you did up until the day you take your drug test. But from that moment on, you got to be clean. Baseball, remember, they went backwards and they were like, we got to investigate Bonds and McGuire and Sosa. No, the NFL was literally adapting the rules at the same time. They're like, hey, we don't care. We don't care about what you did last week. Drug testing starts today. That's where we care. And it's the same 100%. Thing with the sticky stuff.
Yep, the sticky stuff, that was dumb too. 100%. That was you can't implement something in the middle of a season and then and then to start checking them and frisking them like they did last year, and
literally
implemented that now.
Tomorrow.
What's that?
They said we're checking you starting tomorrow. Bro, do you know how many people are going to get hurt now? Come out and say, hey, next year this changes. And then everybody starts to make their adaptations. We're going to start adapting, and pitchers are going to get away from it, and they're going to start to learn how to pitch without it. But you can't tell, a Garrett Cole, a Clayton Kershaw, and these guys, hey, tomorrow, your next start, you better figure this shit out.
Right.
No, I'm going to throw my arm out trying to figure shit out.
No, that made zero sense to me when they started doing that. I know Homie and I were hot on that too. We're just like, that doesn't make any damn sense. The idiots. Baseball is, they have a lot of things they need to fix and implement better, and just the way they do things and come about it. It's ridiculous. They want people to watch, then tune in, then they can, they've 100% agree with you, Barcot, that, they have those 3 months to do it and do it right. They get the All-Star game all to themselves. When they have the All-Star game, they are literally the only thing going on that week.
Another sport. There's not another sport being played. Unless somebody wants to watch NASCAR over the Major League Baseball All-Star game, hey, good on you, brother. I mean, go watch NASCAR. I don't do that stuff, but that's literally their only competition is NASCAR at All-Star game time in July. That's it.
Well, MLB, we got you. We could, we just gave you some pieces on how to make the game better and how to fix it. And just like when Homie's on here, it's exactly what we do. We fix a lot of things. So anything else you got, brother?
Nah, man. Toronto's tied it up 2-2 bottom four. I'm going to go throw my
2-2
phone
bottom four. Well, bottom one, and Marco has 0 outs and a guy on first and second already.
Hey, man.
Struggle, man. I don't know. I'm going to tune in and finish this. So I just hope Marco pulls through and comes out, man. I just need him to bounce and get this this month started off right after the win yesterday. They need to keep it going like we discussed, man. This is wild. This is crazy. And Bregman just hit one foul. But hey, Barcot, appreciate you coming on, man. Pasco's greatest high school basketball coach ever.
Oh, please,
maybe the best women's basketball coach in the state. My guy, Aaron Barcot. Appreciate you, bro.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show on whichever podcast platform you listen to. Go to thunder.com for more podcasts and online content, and follow me on Twitter at Stix015. Aaron Barcot, appreciate you, man. We'll talk, bro.
Absolutely, man. Take care of yourself.
All right, you too, Doc. Talk to you later.
That was Sports Fix with Stix. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show. If you want to join the show, use the hashtag StixandSports.
Winners don't make excuses.